Welcome to 1420 AM KPIR, the news, sports, and talk of Granbury. I'm Jerry Reynolds, the owner here at KPIR, and we're very pleased today to bring you the Candidates Forum that is sponsored by the Lake Granbury Waterfront Owners Association. We've got three gentlemen here from the mayor's race today that we're going to ask a series of questions to. Gentlemen, welcome to KPIR. Thank you for coming today. We appreciate it. Just a few ground rules, if you would. Speak clearly and slowly. Your time will be limited to 2 minutes. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to get started, and then there'll be 6 questions that you'll have 2 minutes each to answer. The time will be monitored, so it's fair for everybody. And I reserve the right to interrupt you if needed. I will not ask any follow-up questions, however. During the introduction, please state your name. We'd also like to know in the first 2 minutes what your 2 top priorities of this campaign are. So with that, we'll get started. Thank you for participating, and good luck to all 3 of you with your campaign. We'll start out with our first candidate, which is Scooter Thomas. Scooter, you've got 2 minutes. Tell us your top 2 priorities if you are elected.
My name is Billy Joe Scooter Thomas. I'm on place 2 of the ballot. My 2 top priorities, if and when I'm elected, is number 1, simplify the projects that the city does and get them done quicker, and they will have, I think it'll be cheaper if you do them quicker. It takes too long to get a project done in the city. Another priority is make it simple for the citizens. When they have a project, they have to jump through a lot of hoops to get it done. Some examples are, I wanted to build a workroom, and where my house sits, I'm going to have to rezone to get it done. So I'm not going to build a workroom. It's just too expensive. 2 minutes, I've been in the city 64 of my 74 years. I was born about a block and a half from the river at that time, and now it's a lake. It's behind the Opera House, and where the restrooms are. I thought that was going to be a monument to me, but it didn't turn out that. I went to school here and then went to Charlton for a year and a half. I've been Chamber of Commerce Manager and Executive Vice President in 4 different towns. Came back and went and been with my dad at Deb's place. He built the building where Granbury Live is and had an auto parts and tire shop. I enjoy living in Granbury. If I didn't, I wouldn't have come back after being gone 10 years.
All right, thank you for that. Now, let me give you the first question, which is, do you support the BRA's water permit number 5851 for an additional 432,000 acre-feet, which according to the BRA will lower Lake Granbury more than the current water levels that are there? Why or why not do you not support that?
I do not support that, and the reason being is our lake is low. But you have to remember, BRA built the lake. There also has never been supposed to be a constant level lake. Their business is impounding and selling water and managing the watershed of the Brazos River. They've done a good job selling water and a bad job of managing the water resources. I think they were established in 1929 by state legislature vote. But I don't think that if they sell more water, they need to build some more dams where they can impound more water. Right now, we need a rain.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, I'm Nen Hewlett. I am the Mayor Pro Tem of Granbury, Texas, serving as the mayor right now, and that's not a really hard question for me right now because I've got several things that I've got in the making right now serving as the Mayor Pro Tem of Granbury. So it's one of these things where I just got to pick 2 of them, and my top priority 2 that I would pick would be getting water back into our lake and supporting to getting water back into our lake. And we've also got the Opera House we're dealing with right now, and as you know, everybody's followed that around town. It's getting to be a big project there, and we've got a lot of commitments to people to bring in a lot of folks to the grand opening and that stuff, and the citizens are really looking proud of that thing, and I'm proud of it. So it's a project that I'm right in the middle of, and also the lake water is a project that I'm in the middle of also. There's many other projects that I'm in the middle of, but as when I'm elected as mayor, I would like to continue those projects and put those beside and go into the nenext projects, which would be, additional water for the community and also the wastewater treatment plants and things like that. A little bit about my background. I grew up in the corporate world. Spent 33 years with General Motors, and then decided to move to Granbury, Texas, to make this my home, make this my retirement place. I fell in love with this community and got pretty involved with it in different community services, organizations, homeowners associations, things like that. And then decided to go on and run as a council person in 2011. Was elected as the council person in 2011, and was selected as the mayor pro tem in 2012. And as you know, the mayor had his severe stroke, and then I was put into the mayor's seat after that. So there's a lot of things going on, but those two are the top priorities right now, and they're well on their way. But I'd like to see those two projects finished. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. First question for you, Nen, is the same one. Do you support the BRA's water permit 5851 for additional 432,000 acre feet, which according to the BRA will lower Lake Granbury more than current water levels? Why or why not?
Well, I was influential in hiring attorneys. We hired an attorney through the city to start with, and we put him on board, and now we've hired Haynes and Boone to assist, or to actually put a little more guns in this thing. So, that question to me, if I said, yes, I supported them, that I would be lying, because I spent a lot of money, or I'd say I have supported spending a lot of money to hire these folks to help us fight that issue. At this time, no, I would not support any more additional sale of water. And I have to agree with Scooter that there's a lot of things that need to be done first before we start selling additional water. We need to put some reservoir. We need to promote Proposition 6. We need to promote taking that extra money and putting it towards additional reservoirs, and probably doing a little better job, a little better job of managing the water up and down the Brazos River. So with that said, there's a lot of things that need to be done before I would ever support selling of additional water downstream.
Thank you very much. Candidate number 3, David Southern. You've got 2 minutes, sir, to tell us what your 2 top priorities are, and then I'll ask you that same question.
My 2 top priorities are controlling the BRA and their acquisition of additional water rights, putting some method in place to make sure that they cannot leave this lake as low as it is right now. The other issue is utility rate reform. The city's electric service is 29% higher than nearest competitor, and that's something that we need to address. I'd like to call an election to let the citizens vote on whether they want to keep the utility or sell it, and whatever ramifications that would have for the system. Tell you a little bit about myself. I moved here 33 years ago and opened a business, and we've now employ about 200 folks and serve folks with intellectual disabilities primarily. I also am married for 38 years, have 2 children and 2 grandchildren, all whom live in Granbury. And I really love the community, and I love things about it. My wife and I married in '75, and we visited here in '76, and we tried to think of a way we could get back here, and finally we worked that out in 1980 and came back here to live this time and to run our business. And so we really have enjoyed watching the town grow and being a part of that. I served on the city council for 24 years, 15 as mayor, and I'd like the opportunity to serve again in that capacity. The other issues that I'd like to work on, other than the 2 top ones, are I'd like to see us do a resource officer in every school to protect our kids and to teach them respect for law enforcement. And that's one thing. The other thing that I'd like to see happen is I'd like to see us finishing projects on time and on budget. We are way over budget on the OpCast, about 3 times the original budget. And that kind of spending and the kind of time delay that it's caused has really impacted tourism here, and I'd like to see us do that on a much more timely basis. Thank you.
Very good. All right. David Southern, question number 1 to you. Do you support the BRA's water permit number 5851 for an additional 432,000 acre feet, which according to the BRA will lower Lake Granbury more than current water levels? Why or why not?
I'm totally opposed to it, and I applaud the city for joining the Lakefront Homeowners Association and the county in spending dollars to fight that proposal. That would really convert Granbury into a capture lake instead of a flow-through lake that it's been the whole time that I've lived here. And when you have a capture lake, it's going to be lower all the time than can be utilized by folks. So it's not a good idea. There aren't more water rights in the lake. 25 years ago, they came to the city and said the last water rights in the lake are going to be sold with the SWAT's plant. Then they came back when I was mayor and said again, oh, we have found more water rights, and do you want some more? And we bought more, but then they charged so much for them a few years later that we had to let part of those rights go back. The city has adequate water rights, but one other thing I'm opposed to is selling our water rights downstream to Dow Chemical, as the current council has done, because I can't imagine why anybody would vote for that. The money has not been worth it, and we've lost as much in sales tax and bed tax revenue as we may have gained in the utility system by selling our water rights downstream. That's something I never allowed to happen when I was the mayor, and I wouldn't allow it to happen again as mayor. We should not be selling any part of our water rights to anyone downstream.
Thank you very much. Question number 2, Nen Hewlett. In 2011, the BRA produced a water management plan that included the HALF study. In this study, it shows that a ratio of 1.75 to 1 to be a fair drawdown ratio between Lake Possum Kingdom and Lake Granbury. Do you believe this is a fair ratio? Why or why not?
I don't believe that is, and I talked about that in the additional question a little bit, but I don't believe that that is a fair ratio at this time. I didn't research it back then. I wasn't around back then when it was first designed, but when we have researched it, when we've looked at it before we got the attorneys involved in this, that was one of the issues that we brought to the table and said, you know, we think that's what we call doing a better job of managing the water. We think that ratio should be changed. Number one, there's been a lot more homes and development and usage of water in Lake Granbury, in this community right here, than there has been in the other communities. We have grown a lot faster, and we've grown a lot, we've using a lot more water with the people coming here and all the needs and stuff. So it's a bigger impact to us. And that ratio, to me, should be one of the first things we look at, and hopefully our attorneys and people like that we have working on this will see that and sort out the necessity to change that ratio.
Very good. Thank you very much. In 2011, the BRA produced a water management plan that included the HALF study. In that study, it shows that the ratio of 1.75 to 1 to be a fair drawdown ratio between Lake Possum Kingdom and Lake Granbury. Do you believe that's a fair ratio? Why or why not?
I do not. I believe that HALF study is fatally flawed. It reminds me of a book I read in college, How to Lie with Statistics. And I barely got that out. Lie with statistics, yeah. The assumptions in there are that 50% of the docks are usable when the lake is 5 feet low. We all know that probably 90-something% of the docks are not usable at 5 feet low, and at the level we're at now, it's 98% are not usable. A better drawdown rate, and one that they did in the first, from 2000 through 2007, they did a drawdown rate of 6.0, and then or 6 something, it may have been a percentage, but after that time, they went, the next 4 years, they did a drawdown of 2.2, and now the last 3 years, they've done a drawdown of 2. And you can see the results in the lake. In all those other years before that, when they were drawing at 6.0, 6.6, I don't remember exact number, but in those years the lake never fell below 2 feet low. And everyone knows that this is a river lake, and it's important that we never let it fall below 2 or 2.5, 3 at the utmost, because the docks all become unusable. Another factor in that study is there are only 1,500 docks at Possum Kingdom. There are close to 4,000 docks here. So percentage of docks wouldn't be a fair way to do that either, but that's what they did in the HALF study. They said, oh, half the docks at Possum Kingdom are unusable, so half the docks here. Possum Kingdom has to drop 20 feet low to have the same situation that we have now. And they have, 40% of the docks that we have. To be fair, if it were 10 feet low in Possum Kingdom, 10 to 15 feet low actually, you could still use 750 docks. Whereas here, at 5 feet low, we're in the 90 percentiles of unusable docks. And that means over 4,000 docks, or close to 4,000 docks are unusable versus 750 there and 750 usable and 750 unusable. So to make it fair, it should be the same number of docks at each lake. So that means a 2 to 3 feet level here should result in a 10 to 12 foot level there low. And that would give us use of most of our docks, and would also result in higher lake levels, which we absolutely need.
Thank you very much. Candidate Scooter Thomas, you're up next for question number 2, which I'll ask you at this time, sir. In 2011, the BRA produced a water management study that included the HAF study. In this study, it shows that the ratio of 1.75 to 1 to be a fair drawdown ratio between Lake Possum Kingdom and Lake Granbury. Do you believe that's a fair ratio? Why or why not?
I don't think it's a fair ratio, and I think every reason has been already proposed by the two candidates before me. Our lake level was never supposed to be constant. A lot of people were sold lakefront property with the idea that the lake would be constant. It was never designed that. I used to sell real estate, and that's one thing my broker said: don't sell a lakefront lot and tell them it's going to be constant level. I think the Brazos River Authority should reassess the drawdown ratios, because as Mr. Southern said, we're losing too much dock usage and the usage of the whole lake. When you get the lake low, you not only lose docks, you open it to more pollution, the green gold algae and some other things too. I was told that there's some of the inlets and stuff right now not safe to swim in, but we need basically more water in the lake, and maintain a level of, again, like the first two candidates, no lower than 3 foot if possible.
Thank you very much. David Southern, you're up next, and this is question number 3. Do you support Luminant's expansion of proposal 3 and 4, which will withdraw 60,000 additional acre feet from Lake Granbury and would today lower Lake Granbury another 4 feet? Why or why not?
I do not support Luminant acquiring additional water rights. The water rights that they've asked for are part of the 425 we mentioned earlier. Like a fourth of that, or a little better than a fourth, is what they're requesting. If they want to use, they are currently running water over the dam at Squaw Creek into a pool where they collect it in tanker trucks and haul it off to the south somewhere. They're either using it in their mining operations, or they are selling it to frackers. I don't know which, but one or the other, because that's where our water is going now. When it was originally proposed, of these 2 nuclear power plants that we have, there was a pipeline built to return 40% of the water to Lake Granbury. Luminant has chosen never to do that because they didn't want to build a cooling tower, and without a cooling tower, the water would have been too warm in the lake. In Lake Granbury, and so that's why they didn't do it. It'd be too warm for their purposes to ship in to cool the nuclear power plants, not too warm necessarily for us. So I think Luminant needs to become a good neighbor. If they're going to build those 2 plants, then they need to find the water rights within water rights they already have and are wasting. They also need to look at new technologies to preserve more than 40% of the water. That's possible with the technologies that are being developed, and they need to build a cooling tower for the current 2 plants that would enable them to return water to Lake Granbury. If they were returning all the water they're supposed to be returning, and could with new technology, then you could have those 2 nuclear plants on their existing water. And so, yeah, I support only those plants if they can do it on their existing water and return the rest of the water back to Lake Granbury.
Thank you very much. Scooter Thomas, you're up next for question number 3, which is, do you support Luminant's expansion of proposal 3 and 4, which will withdraw 60,000 additional acre feet from Lake Granbury and would today lower Lake Granbury another 4 feet? Why or why not, sir?
Well, first of all, our lake does not need to be lower. I think that's been established, and I do not support that. The use that Luminant has with the water is used for cooling, but Squaw Creek has more water in it than Lake Granbury right now. I believe it's a statistic, and they should be using that and not wasting it. I'm surprised that they're not returning the water back to Lake Granbury like they originally said they would, because they have been a good neighbor most of the time on most of the other things.
Thank you. Nan Hewlett, question number 3, please, which by now I'm sure you know is, do you support Luminous expansion of proposal 3 and 4, which will withdraw 60,000 additional acre feet from Lake Granbury and would today lower it another 4 feet?
And like I answered in the previous question of selling any additional water, no, absolutely not until we get it fixed right now with whether the ratio or whether we're putting reservoirs or whatever we need to do. So no, I don't support the fact of building additional towers out there for Luminant. But with that said, you know, BRA has already said that if those don't come about, that water is going to go right on downstream anyway. So the one part about that, and I think Mr. Southern hit on that a little bit, was that if they do build those and they build them correctly, and they put and I think that's their plan to build those with those coolers and stuff, that they would actually put 40% of the water back into Lake Granbury. So, you know, if they don't build them and the BRA chooses, which they've already said they do choose to do so, they'll send the water right on downstream, then to other places. Then if the plants was built and they put 40%, then we're that much ahead. But we're still going to lose some more water out of Lake Granbury. So there are some things that need to go along with that equation, whether or not they do that or not. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Scooter Thomas, you're up first on question number 4. What do you think will be the economic impact to Granbury if TCEQ approves the BRA's permit request for 432,000 acre feet?
The economic impact would be great in far as the tourist trade using the lake. Also, it would be great in our taxing thing. A lot of the taxes would go down on the waterfront homes, and that would cause everybody else's taxes to go up. Unless all the governments lowered their budget, which is not going to happen. I'm opposed to any more things happening to the lake other than using it and having it for the tourists, and also the homeowners around the lake. I lived on the lake about 4 years myself, and due to economic reasons of my own, I had to give that place up. But we need the lake for the tourists and for the homeowners that have already invested money in, quote, their dream home.
What do you think will be the economic impact to Granbury if TCEQ approves the BRA's permit request for 432,000 acre feet?
I think after we've done a little bit of that study, if I remember right, it could be up to over 45% impact to the city of Granbury, especially on waterfront property that has a view, or waterfront property that actually live on the water. So I think within next year, possibly even, but you see the people that go out there to protest or to protest their taxes and stuff, you're going to see a big impact there. Right now, the city is we're gearing up for that. Actually, we're bringing in events. We're trying to do additional events to where we can keep our sales tax rate at least, you know, at a moderate stage. And we've been able to do that, but you know, we're just hanging on by a thread because a lot of that is based off of having water in our lake. A lot of folks come to this community, out of towners. They've got weekend homes. They come here. They spend their money here. They put gas in their boats here. I know. I've got a boat sitting on my dock that I haven't been able to put gas in it. Sometimes that might be a blessing, but I would love to have my boat out in the water with my children and stuff and my grandkids, and spending some of that money also. So it's a big impact to the community, and with them approving that, I think it would just get greater.
Thank you. What do you think will be the economic impact to Granbury if TCEQ approves the BRA's permit request for an additional 432,000 acre feet?
I think it'll be devastating. And we've already had a horrible economic impact on the community based on the current level of the lake. If the lake's going to be 4 feet lower, you can imagine how much worse it'll be. The appraisals will probably drop $100 million in the city on appraisals, and the county as much as $500 million, and maybe more. The appraisal district chief has been quoted as saying that he's held these values up as long as he can. And in fact, I think he's held it up longer than he should have. I've lived on a water view or a waterfront home most of the time that I've lived here, I currently live in a water view home. And if you read the economic study that this association had done, or at least the preliminary study, it indicates a massive amount has already happened, but it's just a fraction of what will happen over the next few years if this lake continues to be this low. Most of the people who live in Granbury moved here because of the lake. Not everyone, some because of the square, some for other reasons, but I'd say the majority moved here because of the lake. Either they lived on the lake or had a lake view property, and that's where all the appraisal values really are. I mean, I think they're like 30% of the property, and they account for 60% of the appraisals. So you're going to have a drop in either services of county and city government, and or probably both that and a tax rate increase. And those of us who don't live directly on the lake, or people that live even distantly from the lake, are going to be paying more taxes because the rates are going to go up. And the lakefront homeowners probably will be paying the same thing because they will be paying it at a higher rate on a lower appraisal. So everyone loses from that scenario. Our sales tax base will also decline from lack of tourism. I think we've already seen the beginning of that, and that will continue and will speed up in the future.
Hood County and the LGWA, our sponsor today, each contributed $100,000 for a total of $300,000 toward the legal team of Haynes and Boone. All candidates have already agreed this was a good decision. There is a possibility that Haynes and Boone will need additional $200,000 to finish legal opposition to the BRA's permanent request. Are you willing, if you're elected, to commit another $100,000 from the city towards legal fees if necessary?
I'm willing to put all the money that needs to be in there if I can see some results. And I think I stated this the other night at a council meeting, that attorneys are no different than a divorce attorney or any other attorneys that you get out there and you have them working for you. You've got to stay on. You got to make sure that you're getting what you paid for. And I think it's our job. I mean, we brought them on to where they could uncover some stones that we probably didn't know were out there, and to do the legal part of it, and to get the contacts that we didn't have and all that stuff. So we need to start monitoring the results. We need to start looking at what they're doing for us and looking and making sure that they're going in the right direction, which I hope they are. And it's like anything else, if you see that the results are what you're paying for and that you're getting the results that you paid for, and it's going to cost you additional money, then that's what you need to do. There's a lot of lawsuits that become pretty expensive, but normally they get pretty expensive because they get drug out a little longer than what they should, and that's the thing that we need to monitor. But if there's going to have to be additional money put into this thing to get the final result, to get what everybody wants, and that's water back in our lake, and to protect our economical impact that it's going to do on the community, then yes, we need to look at whatever money it takes to put back in there, or to put in there, and to hopefully join with the same folks, that they would help us and that they would come on and continue to be a team on this thing, and to help us put water back in our lake.
Thank you very much. David Southern, you're up next. You need me to repeat the question for you?
No, I support another $100,000 for that team. Nobody likes to hire attorneys, least of all me. But in this situation, the city waited too long to get into this battle. If it had been done earlier, it would have been a lot less expensive, and we would have had more impact. Some of the other cities had already settled with the BRA on some of their issues, and have been successful. We didn't do it soon enough. Should have been done 2 years ago. I think it is going to take more money, but I think the consequences of not spending the money are a lot greater. I believe if we lose this battle, we should then act legislatively to work on that. I've worked with the legislature since 1985 for the city, and even before that for my own business, and I believe we are going to have to go further legislatively. A lot of the river authorities have faced similar groups to our Lakefront Homeowners Association. I own a business in Lakeway, and Lake Travis is there, and they have a Central Texas Lake Owners Association, and they're fighting the same issues with the Lower Colorado River Authority that we're fighting with that. I think if we could get together with a bunch of these different associations that are battling river authorities, that we could get some legislation changed in Austin and go even beyond. Even if we win some settlement or prevent these water rights from being sold, we're going to have to do that, because just because you can see how low the lake is now, and there aren't water rights haven't been sold. So we got to do something legislatively with other river authority oppositional groups, including the Brazos group that is also around, to be sure that legislatively we can change the impact of river authorities. You know, during the last drought of record in the 50s, there were only 7 million people living in Texas. There are now almost 27 million people living in Texas. So there are a lot more straws in the water than there used to be. But we can't let that ruin the economy in Granbury by ruining our lake, and that's exactly what's happening. So I think this is money well spent, and we'll have to continue to do that with, I'm sure we'll have to eventually have some lobbying folks in Austin, full-time basis, just as other cities have done. At least that's probably going to be a permanent part of the city budget in the future.
Thank you very much. Scooter Thomas, question number 5. Do you need me to repeat it for you, sir?
I don't believe so. When I first heard that the city was gonna put in money with the lawyers, I kind of hesitated to say that was a good idea. Then after kind of studying the problem and the results that they could get, I think it's a good idea if they have joined with the other groups in hiring the lawyers. I would be in favor of additional monies, maybe not 100,000 and maybe 200,000, whatever it takes, if the lawyers are getting results. And that's something that you're going to have to monitor real close, because lawyers sometimes called slick-tongued, and they can tell you we're doing good, you know, and when they're not doing anything. I've not had that much luck with lawyers. I've been on the, I guess, the downside of most lawyers. But I think if we need more money, we need to make sure that it's the right money spent in the right way, because you can keep throwing money after a project and, you know, get behind.
Thank you very much. You're listening to the mayoral candidates here on KPI 1420 AM in Granbury. And David Southern, this is question number 6, and this is our final question for today. Moving forward, what would you pledge to the citizens of Granbury that will protect and preserve Lake Granbury?
Well, if I'm the mayor, if I'm reelected, or not reelected, but elected mayor again, I would pledge the citizens of Granbury that the city will do everything in its power to make sure that the BRA behaves. I originally fought the BRA on a dock permits back several years ago, because they wanted to limit the number of permits that were issued in certain areas of the lake. And we worked against that legislatively, and when they realized we were getting traction, they came in and proposed a compromise, and we were able to have some of those docks permitted on the lake. They also, but it's going to be a continuing battle. The city's going to have to realize that its main job is to promote its economy and provide services to the people of the city. And they go hand in hand. You can't provide the services if the economy is going south. I grew up in Borger, Texas, up in the Panhandle, and I can tell you they would die to have our economy and what economy we've had while the lake's been here. That little town has shrunk since I lived there to about half of its size, and there's shops boarded up on Main Street. And you know, when I moved to Granbury, there were still some shops boarded up on Main Street around the square. But in 1969, there was only 2 businesses on the square operating, and that was First National Bank and the Tractor Implement Store. And everything else was boarded up. And the thing that changed that was Lake Granbury. And Lake Granbury is the reason we're growing, and it's the reason we're having the right kind of growth. And the city has got to be dedicated to doing that, and dedicated to the proposition that we must do a good job for our citizens. We must hold spending in check, but we must make sure our economy and our community survive.
Thank you very much. Scooter Thomas, you're next. Moving forward, what would you pledge to the citizens of Granbury that will protect and preserve Lake Granbury?
First of all, I would continue to watch the BRA, because that seems to be our nemesis in this whole thing. I'd also work with maybe some groups on lake pollution. We have a lot of areas that, because of the septic systems and stuff, that you would not want to swim in, I'll guarantee you. You get some of those bad bugs. But those two things, helping protect the water usage and clean up the lake mainly. I need to correct David just a little bit. I know there was another business open on the square, because my dad owned it.
Okay.
We were next to them one place.
Oh,
But
yeah, Mitchellton.
I think the city needs to do everything they can to preserve the lake and promote the lake, not only preserve it, but promote it.
Thank you. And Mr. Nan Hewlett, you have the final word today. Moving forward, what would you pledge to the citizens of Granbury that will protect and preserve Lake Granbury?
As I said, as the Mayor Pro Tem, I have already made a pledge, and I will continue to pledge, and those three things are, I have pledged to support the legal action that we have already put in place, and to make sure that they're doing a good job in supporting them and trying to get more water and trying to figure out a solution to getting and to keeping water in our lake. I've also pledged to be able to be a mediator, also to be a negotiator, because I can still probably go knock on their doors and sit down and talk with the different people and not have the door slammed in my face. I think it's important that we still keep a relationship, whether it be with the BRA, whether it be with Luminant, whether it be with anybody that we are dealing with to try to protect our lake. And I think it's important that you still be able to negotiate. And I've also pledged to pray for water every night, and I think everybody's on board with me there. And hopefully, with all this, with all those in place, one of them will prevail, and we'll get some water back in our lake. Thanks.
Thank you. Gentlemen, I want to thank you today. Very interesting conversation. I appreciate you guys coming in here to the studios of KPIR, and I wish you all three good luck. And I thank you for listening to this mayoral debate on 1420 KPIR, the news, talk, and sports of Hood County. I'm Jerry Reynolds.